Alina had always lived a quiet life in the crowded city where dreams seemed to shine for others but dim for her, and though she worked tirelessly between waitressing at a cafe in the mornings and tutoring children in the evenings, she often felt invisible, like the world passed her by without ever noticing the kindness in her eyes or the determination in her heart. Yet deep down she held onto the fragile belief that one day, her story would change, that fate had not forgotten her, even when bills piled up on the table and her mother's medicines drained every bit of her savings. Even when the shoes on her feet had holes and the books she used for teaching were second-hand, she never let despair defeat her smile, because Alina believed that perseverance was the only inheritance she could claim. But little did she know that destiny was already weaving an extraordinary chapter for her life, one that would begin the moment a man walked into the small cafe where she worked, a man whose presence seemed too graceful for such a modest place, dressed in a simple shirt yet carrying himself with the kind of quiet confidence that made people turn their heads. And though Alina had seen hundreds of customers in her years of serving, there was something about him that unsettled her heart, not in fear but in a strange recognition, as if she had seen him before in a dream. His eyes carried warmth but also secrets, and when he ordered nothing more than black coffee yet tipped generously, Alina thought perhaps he was just kind, perhaps wealthy, perhaps lonely, but she could not have imagined how deeply his life was already tied to hers, for he kept returning day after day, sometimes reading a newspaper, sometimes simply watching the street outside, but always offering Alina a smile that lingered in her memory long after he left. And though she told herself not to be distracted, that she had no time for foolish thoughts of strangers, she found herself waiting for him. Unconsciously, her heart quietly leaping when he appeared and sinking when he didn't, until one evening as the cafe was about to close, he finally spoke more than a few words, asking her name, asking about her life in the most gentle way that made her want to share. And Alina, against her own guarded nature, found herself telling him about her family, her sick mother, her dreams of one day studying further though money chained her from moving forward. And the man listened not with pity but with admiration, as if he saw in her not the struggles she carried but the strength that endured through them. And when he said, "You're stronger than you realize," she laughed shyly, not knowing that his words carried the weight of truth, for he had already begun to care for her more than he intended. Yet he kept his name vague, introducing himself only as Adam, without revealing who he truly was. And as nights passed, Adam became a mystery Alina could not solve, one day helping her carry groceries when he saw her in the street, another day leaving a note of encouragement with his tip, small gestures that made her question his intentions. Yet she dared not ask, for her pride told her not to expect anything from a man like him. But destiny was persistent, weaving their paths tighter each day, until one rainy night when Alina, exhausted and drenched from walking home without an umbrella, found him waiting by the cafe with a spare umbrella in hand, smiling as though he had known she needed it. And in that moment, something in her heart shifted, not yet love but a dangerous closeness that both comforted and frightened her. And though she tried to ignore it, the truth was that Adam's presence had become the brightest part of her days. Yet what unsettled her more was the nagging question of why a man so composed, so refined, spent time with her at all. And though he seemed simple, there were glimpses, his expensive watch he tried to hide, the luxury car she once caught him stepping into from afar, that hinted he was far more than he appeared. But Alina, bound by her own insecurities, dismissed the thought, telling herself such worlds never touched hers, until one evening, as they walked together near the park, Adam paused and looked at her with unusual seriousness, as though torn between silence and revelation. And though he said nothing, Alina felt a storm brewing behind his calm eyes, something unsaid that could change everything. But before he could speak, her phone rang. Her mother had fallen ill again, and she ran off, unaware that Adam's chance to reveal the truth slipped away once more. Yet he did not give up, for he knew the time would come when she would have to know. And as Alina lay awake that night, worrying about her mother yet strangely comforted by Adam's image in her mind, she did not realize she was standing on the threshold of a destiny far grander than her imagination. A story that viewers must not miss, because what happens next will shock her to the core. And if you wish to witness how this unexpected tale of fate and love unfolds, make sure you subscribe now, because the next chapter will reveal the secret that turns Alina's world upside down.